Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already, hit that like and subscribe button. Go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode.
Hi, everybody. How's your morning going? Or I suppose if you're watching this at night, how's your night going? Mine's going fabulously. It's been interesting. Anyway, we are back. I know you missed me last week. It's sad, but I was in the warm sun, so I was not sad. I am sad now that I'm back in the cold. So, sorry. With us today, we have Jonni Jordyn. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I am pretty good. Hopefully nothing else goes awry in my morning, and then it will be fabulous. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I've already had my first morning meeting at work, and I'm squeezing this in, and I'm off for a couple days.
Oh, nice. I wish.
Well,
I mean, I was just off, but...
No, it's surgery.
Yeah, well, at least you're
But
still
that's
off.
okay. I have someone to take care of me, so I'm good.
Perfect. I love it. I also love your room. So for those that are listening and not watching, her room is nice and yellow. My bathroom used to be a bright yellow before we painted it, but it was yellow for a few years, and I used to call it my happy room because it was so bright and cheery.
Well, this was the guest room, but it's now my media room.
Oh, that works. I like it. So tell us a little bit about who Jonni is.
Well, I was, first of all, I work in IT as my day job. I am winding that down. I have an old system. We're keeping it together, keeping the lights on, and I expect to retire it by the end of the year. I toured for 20 years as a professional musician. And
What kind of music?
Latin music.
Oh, nice.
I was very fortunate out of college to have gotten together with some very high level musicians. I played with members from Santana's band when he did his Abraxas album, and he went to Woodstock. I played with his brother and a few other notable people. So I had a lot of good fun playing the music. And it wasn't all great though. There's a lot of personalities you have to deal with. And when I left California and went to Arizona and needed my creative outlet needed someplace to go. So I used to write in college and I went back to writing again. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to do it. So what'd you take in college? Did you take IT stuff or?
Biology.
Biology. Oh my gosh. And you're a writer and an IT. So how does that wrap together?
Well, so I'm taking biology and I'm taking chemistry and calculus and all the normal science stuff. And they had us go to a computer lab to do some tests for chemistry. Now, this is before the Apple was invented. So we're
in fact, a while ago.
Yeah, and I was there when they came out with these new things called calculators.
Oh my gosh.
And we're learning slide rules. But anyway, so I went to this lab. I'm doing my chemistry exam on this computer, and someone next to me is just laughing their head off. And I lean over and take a look, and they're playing baseball or football or some other thing. And next thing I know, somebody showed me how to list a program, and I went, "This is easy." And then somebody told me they had an entire department to teach that you can get a job. And my feeling at the time was that they can pay you to do this. So what it came down to was I found something that was creative and logical, and those are the two. Those are my gifts, and that's it was like the perfect marriage.
You know what I love? I love that you know what your gifts are and that you found something to merge them together fairly early on in your life. Like,
Yeah,
college is pretty early.
It was an accident. I mean, it was like I found something that I already knew how to do from birth. That's what it felt like.
That is amazing. A lot of people never find that.
That's sad. I wish everybody could find that one niche that they belong to.
Yes, awesome. Now I know that, and I loved how you said it right before we went live about the autism diagnosis. So can you tell the viewers what it was that you told me? Because it was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, well, hey, over the decades, I would notice things like I have a hard time hearing voicemail. And especially if you go back when we had it on tape recorders. And you had 30 seconds and people would talk really fast to get their whole message in. I couldn't hear it well. And I found out, that's audio processing disorder. That's something that, you see with autism. And I thought, no, that's interesting. But in those days, everybody's view, everybody who wasn't actually in the medical position, they thought autism was, you sit in the corner staring at out the window drooling. We didn't realize that there was a lot more to it. And over the years, I noticed more and more things where I'm seeing people listing, these are all my autism traits. I'm going, well, that can't be because, I recognize that and I recognize this. So it was about 4 or 5 years ago when I was in therapy, and I just happened to mention, I don't understand it, but I've noticed a lot of things about me that are similar to these lists of autism. And my therapist just blurted out, "Oh, you're so autistic." Now, she's a what, NCSW? I don't know. I don't know what her designation is, but she's not allowed to give me an autism assessment.
Diagnosis assessment. Yeah. Okay.
But she has been treating me for ADHD over these years, and
that is a newer term that's come out. So can you tell everybody what that is?
Well, as we have come to realize that it's a spectrum. I mean, when I was a child, they might have suspected the old German name, I forgot. But now we know it's all on a spectrum. We got autism and we got ADHD, and I'm kind of floating around in both boats. Yes,
and now they've come up with the term ADHD, or
ADHD.
It's kind of fun. I like to say it. Actually, it's a fun word to say. So when your doctor said that, and obviously, like you said, she couldn't give you the assessment. Well, when she said that, was that like a light bulb moment, or just like
it was? It was the affirmation of affirmations. It's like all of a sudden, and this is what we've been going over for the last few years. Is I look back on my life and go, all this makes sense now. Like, they didn't want to advance me in the second grade because I would suffer socially.
Yes.
And the joke's on them. I suffered socially regardless.
Love that. I don't know. You're being pretty social right now.
Yeah.
It's different though. It's different. And
I've had help. Well, first of all, my therapist has helped me to open up and see things new. But also, I think I've gotten myself into a positive relationship rather than, spending all my time in being abused verbally.
Yeah. So share with us some of those, when you said that you had help, like you learned some things to help with the social. What kind of things?
Well, I recognize now when I'm in I never used to go to parties. I never understood why I didn't go to parties. But I have now I have gone to some, and I've recognized when I'm getting overload. And I know I can go find a quiet corner and just, calm down, and it'll go back and be with my friends for a little bit.
Yeah. And that is such a big one that gets overlooked, I feel like, because it's such a simple one to do, to take a break away, even just a short one. Sometimes it's like literally 5 minutes, and then you're like, okay, I can come back. I'm good. You don't, it doesn't need to be an entire day. Sometimes it does, but a short reprieve from the hecticness of peopling can be a really helpful tool that is just totally overlooked. And the other thing is, and this just popped into my head, is that when you're like, okay, I'm just going to take this little 5-minute break, because you don't always have to tell people. It's really none of their business necessarily, depending who you're with, right? Sometimes you might care about them and tell them, but people don't always know. And then it's, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? Everything all right? Which they're trying to be nice, and I'm not saying not to do it, but just if you are the person saying, hey, are you okay? If they're like, yeah, then don't keep pushing, would be my advice to, the helpful friend. Be like, okay, maybe go back and check on them in another, 10 minutes or something. Make sure that they're still cool. But if all they're needing, because I do the same thing, if all we're needing is like a quick little 5-minute reprieve from peopling, then, accept the fact that we're over there.
Sometimes it's as simple as leaving the living room where they got the music blaring and everybody's talking loud all at the same time, just going over to the kitchen area and sitting with 2 or 3 people and having a private chat. That's often just enough to be able to become centered again, without stimming and then somebody thinking, okay, what's going on with you?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that you brought up that word stimming, because not everybody knows what that is. What's stimming?
Well, they certainly didn't know it when I was young, because I would always get told, stop shaking your leg, stop drumming your fingers, all these things. And it's just, a lot of people will like to say, well, it's just a nervous tick. It's a nervous habit. But it is something that kind of bleeds off some of that. I mean, sometimes it feels like you're a water faucet with too much water pressure going on, and you just gotta, let a little bit off.
I like that analogy. The water faucet. I've never heard that one. I always use the shaking a can of pop, and you just gotta, and it's gotta go somewhere.
Yeah.
We'll exchange them. We'll share. Okay, and so how long ago was it that you kind of got that when your doctor was like, yeah, you're definitely autistic? How long ago was that?
I think it was 2020.
Okay, so 4 years, well, 5 years. Oh my gosh. And how has I trying to word the question. So this is not the way I want to word the question, but it's going to come out this way. So how has that changed things, like knowing that?
Well, for one thing, if I'm awkward in a social situation, like I used to be told, stop flirting with her. I go, I'm not flirting. Yeah. What do you mean? She works at a desk, and I'm trying to, get some information maybe. I can recognize now why people would say that, why people would think that. Okay. It used to be that maybe someone was flirting with me, and I'd like the next day go, oh.
That's me. I never knew when people were flirting with me, and my friends would have to point out. I was like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Well, I've gone from the next day to maybe 3 hours later.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, now I've been married a long time, and I really don't know when people flirt with me because I'm not paying attention at all, but meh. But that's good that you can recognize those things.
Sometimes my granddaughter helps me, says, hey, did you notice that? Did you check that out?
Excellent, right? So that's the reason I figured out that I had autism is my kid. So my kid was diagnosed with autism, and then she said to me, Mom, if I have it, you definitely do. So kids are great at helping point things out, aren't they? I had a question and then it popped away. My brain is not wanting to work today. So I know when I got my diagnosis, some people in my life were like, oh, that makes sense. Yep. And some people in my life were like, really? Did you have any of that?
Yeah, and I have some of that. Oh, stop making an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
I say, I feel this and I behave this way, and it's actually part of how my brain works. And just because I only just discovered that it's about how my brain works doesn't mean it's not valid. And other people go, no, you're just making that up. That's convenient.
Yes. So what would you like to say to those people that are just like in utter disbelief?
I don't know what you can say, because honestly, look at America right now, and there are people that just don't believe in so many other things, gender spectrum, opinions about, should we be friends with people or should we go to war with people?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone,
should Canada become your 51st state?
Yeah. Or
I'm in Canada, if you didn't know.
Or should we become the next province?
Right.
I was born in California, and if California becomes a province of Canada, I'm going to exercise my birthrights.
Yeah, no, we are such very different countries at the base of at the core of it all. But we're not going to get into politics. So yeah, so you're right. There are so many people that are in disbelief of a lot of different things. So if you could tell them something and they would actually listen, what would that be?
Open your mind and understand that other people's minds work differently from yours. And it's neither better nor worse. It's differently. It's like, if you're mechanical, a gas engine and electric engine work differently, but they still come around to the same purpose. And give up this idea that it's my way or the highway.
Yes, I love it. There's some good words there. Before we talk about your work, your books, is there any last words that you want anybody to know about late diagnosis autism?
Well, self-diagnosis is valid, and it's especially valid because it can be really hard to get an actual diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I have been asking, and a lot of the time I get, well, why? What's it going to do for you? And there's so many doctors that think, there's no use in diagnosing an old person, or there's no use in diagnosing a girl. This only happens to boys.
That's a really big misconception right there, the boy thing.
Yeah. And how do you get the medical profession to say, hey, go read up, refresh your training? It's hard, and they don't want to waste their time. So I think a diagnosis probably is helpful. I don't have one yet. I would like to get one. But self-diagnosis, recognizing and not jumping on the bandwagon. Oh yeah, me too. Recognizing, I really, really do see all these traits in myself.
Yes.
I think it's important.
I love that, especially I have had people ask me that same question because I was diagnosed 32. Was it 32? Something like that, 32, 33. And it was, yeah, well, why'd you go through all the trouble of getting the diagnosis? So, because first off, it gave me a little bit more sense of myself, right? And made life make sense, right? Oh, that's why I was always doing this or felt this way or whatever. But also, at least here, there are different avenues to then seek additional support. But unless you have it written on paper from a doctor, there's certain supports that you can't access.
Right.
So sometimes you need that in order to get more help than previously. Yeah, okay, if I'm successful in my 30s and blah, but there's still so many different parts of life that I'm like, I would like help with this. I would like to stop feeling like I'm the odd one out in these situations.
Yeah, and there are so many comorbid things out there. Like, I am not extremely elastic, but I do appear to have some symptoms of Ehlers-Danlos. When I was young, well, before computers, they had a this thick of times I sprained my thumb, and they thought at one point they wanted to, and this is when I'm 12, they wanted to do surgery and shorten the ligaments in my thumb.
Oh, wow.
And yet they knew that and did not come out and say, oh, yeah, there's a syndrome that we know about that this could be part of. And it's having, once you get that first diagnosis in one thing, then as you start to look at these other comorbid factors, they might say, oh, well, okay, this is starting to make sense. We're starting to build a picture here.
Yes, exactly. Actually, my sister was recently diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos. So for those who don't know, and I am not a doctor and I don't know much about it, but she's really super too flexible and will sprain and dislocate things real easy. That's my not medical knowledge of that. But yeah, just being more like overly flexible. Luckily, I don't have it to that point. But the chronic pain that can go along with these things is also like the comorbidity with
different. It's a mouthful.
It is. And a lot of times mental health goes along with that, like depression, anxiety, sleeping issues leading to insomnia, like so many different things can be wrapped up with it. And so it can be, when you have that diagnosis, you can start kind of piecing other things together and finding what's going to work best for you, what vitamins might be better for you, if you need medication, if you need certain counseling, because not all counseling is the same. And so when you know what the problem is, you know how to get the help to do it. So that's why it can be really important to seek those answers.
Yeah. And sometimes symptoms are simple, like my ankles used to snap when I walked. Every step I'm snapping. I ran track in college, and I do remember going around the last turn, and my ankles are snapping, and the two competitors next to me both looked down to see what that noise was, and I slipped into third place. So, it's
wow.
But it was, nobody ever said it was a problem, and it wasn't painful. It just, made these weird noises all the time.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, my hip likes to do that, likes to pop, 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 pop all the time when I'm doing stuff. So it's tricky.
Are you a dancer?
No, I used to be a kickboxer until the pain got too bad. Maybe one day I'll do it again. I'm trying to do it again. But I used to be a kickboxer, so that definitely goes hand in hand. So unless you have anything else to say on this topic, so never want to cut anybody off, we'll talk about your books. But do you have anything else to say first?
No.
All right. So let's talk about your books. What have you written? I know it's quite a few.
I have, yeah, well, I've written quite a few, and 5 or 6 months ago, I took everything off of Amazon, and I have started a new publishing company. I have a new illustrator. We're redoing all the covers.
Wow.
And I even went through and did one more edit on everything. So
Nice.
we're re-releasing them all. I have a series called The Lost Art of Magic, which is it's modern day times, and it's about it explores the possibility that magic was real back in the days of, let's say, Merlin, when everybody just, of course, you don't question that magic is real, or at least you didn't question it until the Church of Rome came into England and said, no, we're not going to believe that anymore. But so I take the point of view that magic was real at one time, and it went away for a reason. And all of a sudden, this young 16-year-old girl living in the bayous of Louisiana, she brings it back. And
I like that.
Bringing it back brings a whole host of problems for her. Because,
of course.
Because there's another clan that's going, ooh, we just felt it come back too, and we don't want you to be the one that has it. So anyway, it goes. That's how the whole series started.
I like that.
I do want to mention one other book.
Yeah.
I have a book called I should know the name of my own book.
That's okay.
Something about nobility, and I'm bringing this up because my fiance gave me a tarot reading, and this woman, we're talking. She says, "What do you know about England? Have you been to England, to Britain?" And I said, "No, I haven't been there." And she's going, I'm getting something about a romance in England." And that's when I said, well, I just released a book called Something About Nobility, which is about a romance that occurs in 16th century England.
Well, that would do it then, wouldn't it?
And then she says, that's the one. She says, that's the one that's going to go big, and that's going to get over. So she says it, so I want to believe it. So Something About Nobility, and it's available on Amazon.
Excellent, I like it. And where are we gonna follow you?
I have a website. It's www.jordanatlargebooks.com, and so you can see me there. As far as social media, I'm probably most active on TikTok, but with TikTok having gone through something, and we're all questioning, is this really the same TikTok, or are we being manipulated? I went through the same thing with Twitter when Twitter got purchased. I thought,
oh right, and it's now X.
Yeah, it's now something else. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't see that as my avenue for sharing my books. So yeah, but I am on TikTok as Jonni_Jordyn.
Excellent.
So
yeah. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It was actually easy.
I'll make things easy. No. I think people get too in their heads overthinking about stuff sometimes, and we're just gonna talk. We're just gonna have a conversation, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little fear in my head that, oh, this woman's going to tear me apart because I'm autistic. She's going to, just. But
Never.
No, it was wonderful.
Awesome. Well, make sure you share that with everyone.
I will.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and perhaps in the future, as your books are coming back out and around, because you said that you're putting it out for your own company, you can come back on, because I'm sure we'll have other things we can think of.
I will still be re-releasing books throughout the year.
Perfect. So we'll definitely talk to you in another few months then, I'm sure.
Awesome. Awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, thank you so much for the amazing guests that we have on the show. Be sure to check out their links down in the description below. If you want to support the channel, go ahead and check out our merch store. We've got some very cool things on there. That's my favorite. Sorry, I'm busy ending the stigma. But there's some other very cool designs. 10% of the proceeds always goes back to the Canadian Mental Health Association. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at RB Media, because we have some great new shows coming up and you never want to miss any of those episodes. And remember, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye.